everybody, and welcome to the Now What Next Steps podcast here at Malibu Pacific Church. Happy New Year, everybody. This is our first podcast back in the 2024 season. And we're just thankful that you smashed that subscribe button and are listening to this podcast. But if you haven't heard this past Sunday sermon yet, please press pause now and go listen to that now, either on YouTube or press back here on any of the places that you're streaming this podcast from. With that said, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, so you do you and keep listening if you want to. Hey, it's me, Joel, and we got
Andy here.
Hey, everybody, it's Andy.
How you doing?
Wow, you seem so calm this morning.
I know, it's a beautiful windy day
Absolutely.
in Malibu.
It's a
so I don't know. I'll
Wednesday.
be the calm.
You'll be the calm?
Calm in the storm today.
So weird. It's just like so regal sitting here just going, hey, everybody, it's me, Andy.
No, I came out of Christmas super excited. We had great services. We had a week off, and I came back energized. I don't know. My tank got filled up. I'm not sure why. Spent a lot of time with family.
Totally.
And time just relaxing and spending time with my wife, Kelly. And I feel, I don't know, rejuvenated.
That's awesome.
I can't figure it out.
That's good.
It's odd.
So like if you
Why?
actually rest,
Yeah.
you feel rejuvenated?
You feel rejuvenated.
Gosh,
You
I wish
do.
that was in scripture somewhere.
I know. Well, we'll actually be talking about this next week, how to get more of that. But anyway, we'll talk about this week.
Well, I'm glad you had a good break. I felt the same exact way too. Awesome Christmas Eve services. If you're one of those at 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or 8 o'clock, ready for this. Over 540 people attended,
great.
Which is that's pretty mind blowing. And it was just a beautiful service. We got to worship together, and it was just really, really beautiful inside the sanctuary and all those things. But now that we are in our new season and our next season, I guess, 2024, we started out our More series, and that was this past Sunday. Andy, if there's one thing that they could walk away with this entire series, pretend they don't come to church or don't listen to the sermon or anything like that for this entire month, and all they heard was more, what do you think they would walk away with? What would you want them to walk away with?
I think, well, the bottom line, what is the more that you're living for?
Mm-hmm.
Because our more determines our direction in our life, and what it is that we put in our lives, what it is that we're seeking. We're going to talk about that this coming week, so let's not get into that. But whatever you seek of more determines your direction and what you fill your life up with. Mm-hmm. And the world wants us to fill our lives up with a lot of stuff.
For sure.
And this last weekend, to summarize that, thinking that more stuff will help me feel content or quench my thirst.
For sure.
Or ultimately deal with the wound that I have that I'm trying to cover up or numb. Mm-hmm. That's driving my more. But stuff is meant to be enjoyed, and we'll talk about that. But first, are you trying to get more to bring peace in your life? So what is the more that you're living for?
For sure. So let's deep dive right now into prosperity gospel. Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go. All right. Easy question. Now we'll talk a little bit about that because we've had some questions about that. Because I did have somebody ask, like, so when we're talking about more, is it like a prosperity gospel message? Is it a like, okay, so we ask God for more and then we get more. We give more, we get more, we get more, we get more. Almost like a Joel Osteen.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I don't think I said that.
You didn't at all. But when people heard the word more, that was their initial, are we going to go, good. Are we going to go down that trail?
How to get more.
Exactly.
Again, you got to come back next week. I'm addressing that.
There we go.
Well, the whole idea was, no, the more, oh God, I want more of this prosperity gospel. Mm-hmm. It's still not going to quench your thirst.
Totally.
Jesus is the only one who can. And so we talked about the encounter, the Samaritan woman at the well, the encounter she had with Jesus. And the answer wasn't more of that water she's trying to draw up, but Jesus is our living water. We can talk about that. So that's interesting. Okay. I think we hit a nerve. I heard a lot of people after church saying, okay, more. How often we use the word more.
More.
But that's stuck.
Oh, totally.
I like how we're doing one word series.
Yes, absolutely.
It really helps people remember.
It's simple almost.
Yeah, imagine that.
What? No, but we have this really drawn out long title that only like Christians really know about, and it's an acronym for something too.
Yeah.
Doesn't that help? Just kidding.
No,
No, it
but
doesn't.
no, not at all. We're not doing that to you. But that's interesting. People are here. Okay, this is the first time hearing this.
Yeah,
That people are hearing the word more and interpreting it differently.
completely.
I had a conversation with my parents about this series, and the direction they took was, and I still like it, and we could actually make this series 4 weeks into 8 weeks, but God has more love. God has more peace. God has more joy. God is overflowing. We are going to talk a little bit about it in John 10:10. I've not only come to give you life, but a life abundantly, more than you've ever imagined, more than you can count. It's an accounting term. So we'll get into that, but God has more to offer
Yep.
versus the angle we're taking, and I try to explain it a little bit at the beginning. I don't feel like I did very well. Is that we're really trying to address an issue and a question people have here in Malibu, and we're in Malibu, and we're trying to reach the people in Malibu.
Totally.
And the thought was, and we came up with this 3 years ago for the website. So we've been kind of thinking about this for about 3 years, everybody, just so you know.
It's been stewing.
It's been stewing. It's been in the crock pot that we've been thinking about, that people in Malibu sitting on their porch in their $50 million house, they have all the wealth, all the power, all the prestige, all the cars. They have everything.
Yeah.
And they're still saying there's got to be more.
Totally.
So what is that more?
Well, the more is they're only in a $50 million house. I mean, that's like, is that a condo here in Malibu?
Yeah, it's a condo.
Yeah, 2-bedroom, 1 bath,
Right.
1.5 if you're on the right
But
side.
Rockefeller, I think it was Rockefeller. Somebody needs to fact check this, Google this on me. We'll look it up afterwards. But I think it was Rockefeller. They said richest man in the world during his time. And they asked him, how much more money do you need? And his famous answer, I think it was Rockefeller, he said, just a little bit more.
Just a
And
little bit
he
more.
had billions of dollars compared to what we have today.
Which is
Wealthiest man in the
trillions
world.
with inflation.
Trillions, exactly. And his answer was still just a little more.
Just a
Whatever
little
the
bit
more is. I just want to keep
Acquiring and
good.
getting more.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, when you were starting off the sermon, you're kind of asking people what are some things they want more of. What do you think people were like? What was kind of your gut saying? Like, what do you think people were going to say they want more of?
Well, I threw them all up there. You have Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I thought about putting that up there also, but our basic needs are, food and shelter and so forth. I was curious what a Malibu audience would answer. Do you remember some of them? I can't, right? More time,
More time was the one that I thought of, but it reminded me of the moment when we'll do a throwback to All I Want for Christmas, when you're asking people what they wanted for Christmas.
Yeah.
And immediately that person said, a Bentley, like just straight was just like, and it was
almost
like,
fell over.
and it was like but it's a very real answer. It wasn't even like a haha. It was like a no, that's
I want a Bentley.
I'm waiting in 2 weeks from now. I should have that giant bow on that car in my driveway. Just like those crazy car
Bentley.
commercials that a partner goes out and buys a car, financially irresponsible, not telling the partner, but it's fine. And so I don't know. I kind of went back to that because I think that it's that same nerve of like, all I want more of, I want, and we're hitting these things pretty consistently because we're constantly asking people who think they have it all. Like I gotta be honest, I'm in that time. Like I'm in that group of people. I have food, I have shelter, home, all those kinds of things. And there's still like this part of me that's like, but I need more. So no matter if you're like a billionaire, millionaire, thousandaire, $100 heir, there's still going to be that itch of what's that more that I can acquire.
Yeah.
When God is really saying, hey, slow down. You have it. You got this. So how can you use your more for more? I think is the bigger thing.
Well, that's good. Yeah. I thought about doing that also, asking God for more, to be generous. God is looking for generous people so that, like a pipe, that his blessings are flowing through us. But the moment we stop being generous, God then stops the blessing. So he's looking for people to, so if our prayer is, God, bless me with more so I could build your kingdom. I want to use your more so that I can build your church and help people find Jesus. I think that's a great prayer.
for sure.
Yeah.
I kept thinking of these funny memes that are spreading around right now. It's a little morbid to be honest, but it's funny nonetheless. It's people's last words as they're like on their deathbed, what they wish they could have more of, and the things are just so funny. It's like, oh, little Billy, I wish I just had more time to fight my family on Facebook comments. I wish I had a little more time to make more money in my 401k. I wish I had time to talk through the next Star Wars film that's really not going to be making anyways.
Yeah.
So like people are just writing these crazy things because we forget that like is this the most important thing, the more thing that we're going after?
That's good.
Because we're all going to have the ending time, like we're all going to die someday.
Yeah, and
So-
nobody ever said, "I wish I had spent more time at the office. I wish I
Right?
had, uh, done our books better or something, and I wish I had made, yeah,
Yeah.
or we had built one more, whatever." When you're on your deathbed, what do you want?
Mhm.
You want your family around you,
Absolutely.
the thing that matters the most to you. So nobody's ever said, "I wish I had spent more overtime at work,"
Totally.
ever.
More time fighting online with somebody I
Yeah,
don't even
more
know.
time. I love those. I
Totally.
love those.
Anyways.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
important to find out what's important. Again, that's this week. But I just felt like we needed to address the fact with the woman at the well
Yes.
that life has left us thirsty,
Totally.
and that thirst is causing us to consume more.
Mhm.
But the world is telling us if you buy this product and get more of it,
Yep.
it will scratch that itch.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't.
That's marketing 101.
That's all I was trying to say on Sunday.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I mean, like marketing 101 is telling you that you're less than unless you have this.
Yeah.
That's basically marketing in a nutshell.
Yeah.
You are less than unless you have this. Unless you have this class car, this class house, this class, even phone or glasses or clothes or whatever.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like you will be more if you have X.
These.
Yeah,
And it's a total sales pitch. And
Yeah.
it will never fulfill you.
totally.
You will keep going back to that well looking for more.
But I have a 2023 car, but it's 2024.
It's coming out.
Oh, no!
I need to get it. I need to get it. No. Yeah. That's all. That was the point,
Yeah.
really. Be careful what more you're living for,
Totally.
because that more is driving you, and you will continue to be disappointed in a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a marriage,
Yep.
a job, a church, a restaurant, if you're thinking that more is going to be satisfied. It's going to satisfy you. I think
Totally agree.
learning to be present and have
Ooh.
peace and knowing that God's provided all I need and I can be content with this. Yeah.
I think that that's something that we've maybe lost. I'm very guilty of it. It's just being present. Like I want to record the moment. I want to, relive that moment. I want to think of the next thing. If I'm in this moment, what's the next thing I can get to, or the next level, or things like that. Recently at concerts, they've actually been putting cell phones into little bags that have like magnets that you can't open, and you can't open them until after the show.
Oh.
Because the artists are like, it's not that I don't want you to record our stuff. It's free publicity. I just want you to enjoy the music the way that it's supposed to be,
Oh,
instead
nice.
of being behind your phone and being on social media the
They're
entire
doing the
time.
camp thing.
They are. Exactly.
No phones at camp.
No
youth
phones
camp.
at camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. And throw them into the fire. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah,
Interesting.
I've been
That's
seeing more
interesting.
and more of that. Even in like, I don't know, comedians are doing it. Just different experiences. People are wanting, or facilitators are wanting you to experience it in the moment, not through a phone, not through a screen,
Yeah.
and actually just being present. So that's actually a really good point. How do you feel, or what can we do to be more present in the church body, more present in small groups, or just how can we be more present, even
Yeah.
on a Sunday morning, online, on site,
Yeah.
those kind of things?
I think listening to people, truly listening and hearing what people are saying and not talking while they're talking, and taking it in and asking questions, being curious about other people.
Hmm.
I was with a friend of ours. We saw him last week on vacation, and hadn't seen him in many years. He and his wife, a couple kids. But we all went out to dinner, and he asked a lot of questions. And I just thought, wow, he won me over.
Hmm.
I mean, he did. We were friends and so forth, but his questions were really good questions, and they were very curious questions. And
Amazing.
it was really, yeah, it was a great experience. And I got in the car and I said to Kelly, I love the questions that he was asking. I want to learn to ask questions of people and be curious about people the way he was. It was really good. So I think that's how we can be present. I think that's how we can value people. I think that's how we can enjoy relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, that's a big point for 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. We're doing a leadership cohort on Thursday at 6:30 here at the church, just so you may be interested in that.
Yeah.
And we're going through that, and that is one of the things that John Maxwell says is leadership is all about influence, and the way that you influence people, you care about people, and you listen to people, you build a relationship. But when people know that you care about them, they will follow you. So listening, I think, is truly one way of showing people that you care about them
It's
and being present.
so funny that you said that. I was hanging out with a friend who is a non-believer. He'd probably say he's an atheist or whatnot a couple days ago. And one of the questions, he constantly asks me questions about Christianity. He's like, so why are you a Christian? Like, why do you fall for that? Why do you know those kind of things? I'm like, just ask me anything you want and I will have a question. And he literally asked, he's like, so why do Christians, like most Christians I met, cut me off as I'm talking?
Oh,
They're not good listeners. And so it's really funny that you're saying this right now. It immediately sparked in my brain. I was like, oh my gosh, this person's saying, why do Christians cut me off as I'm talking? Like I'll try and ask a question, have a question. It's just like mid-sentence, I'll be like, just believe. You're doing it wrong.
Have a conversation.
You can't.
Yeah.
And so that's always been his take on Christians. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but he's like, what are the ones that just lets me ask questions for once? And you'll sit back and you'll think about it. And sometimes you don't even have an answer. And I'm like, that kind of blows me away because I feel like Christians that I've met always have to have an answer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sometimes I'm like,
we're a
let me
bunch
get
of
back.
know-it-alls. We have an answer for everybody.
Like, let me get back to you on that. You know, like I don't. That's a really good question.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's really good.
So so that's just funny that you're saying that. And so, okay, well, how can we be? What are good practices, or what's maybe a good book? I mean, you're talking about the 21 laws. Like, I think this leadership cohort is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
What are some other good resources to help us just listen?
Oh.
And if you don't have any, that's okay.
I can't think of any resources right now. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff on Amazon, but I think just keep it really simple. Don't talk until somebody finishes their thought. It actually runs.
Are you supposed to do that?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
It actually runs. Let somebody finish their thought, finish what they're saying completely. Think about it. Take a deep breath. And then maybe there is an answer or maybe not. Out of 183 questions that were asked of Jesus, he only answered 3. So Jesus listened, and he was a master communicator, but he only responded to 3.
Hear that?
That's amazing.
You only have to respond to 3 out of 183 questions in the next. Just kidding.
Well, I mean, the moment you give somebody an answer, also, it's not a conversation.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah. So let's have a conversation and ask a few more questions and make sure you completely understand. One lesson I've learned is what I hear you saying is, and repeat it back to them, which tells them I'm really listening to you and I want to make sure I get this right so we can have a conversation or about the answer. But that really solidifies that you're listening. So a response is what I hear you saying is, and I'm processing it.
Absolutely.
And then that person knows, okay, you really listened to me.
Yeah.
There's another.
I do a very familiar or very similar thing where I'm like, help me understand what, because I'm not, it has everything to do with me. I'm actually not following.
There you go.
Help me understand. And then it's awesome because then they'll take my hand metaphorically and help me understand from their point of view, their life,
That's really
so
good.
it's really good. I found that out in Youth Ministry 101 too, of just, having junior hires and high schoolers trying to communicate something in their world, because there's different languages, there's different ages and stages and things like that too. But we can't just say, well, that's a junior hire, that's a high schooler. It's like, no, that's every human. We're all in exactly. We're all in at different ages and stages of life. And I think finding common ground to be able to listen to one another and to ask the questions is only going to make this world a sweeter place.
Yeah. 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 I think that's one thing we want more of, people listening to us.
Hmm.
That's really good.
Yeah.
To be understood. I want to be more understood. I'm not sure if that's good English, but
It totally is.
more understood.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are all really good things. I think this series, we could take this thing for the next few months of all the things that are even more that are good. But again, this week was just don't make that your God.
Yeah.
Another way of saying this week, don't make that the stuff you're living for your idol.
Absolutely.
And thou shalt not have any other idols.
Yeah.
Make God your only God. Make him a priority in your life.
Absolutely. So everybody wants to know, not everybody, I do. I'll just say, what are some things that you want more of?
Yeah, Kelly, my wife and I talked about this.
Nice.
Actually.
So
we
Shannon and I did too. Yeah, my wife Shannon and I. She was like, so.
And I'm not sure this is a good answer.
Golf.
But it's more peace to enjoy this season in my life, and more of enjoyment of where we are and where we're living. And for so many years, I worked so hard. I'm not saying I'm not working hard now, but pushed almost too hard in a sense that was not healthy for me or for the church or the people who are volunteering or staff. So I want to have more of a peace or enjoyment of this season in life and where we are.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were thinking about, can you just enjoy it? And
Can you?
that's what my
You
wife
made
said.
it.
Well,
You're in Malibu, baby.
yeah, there was just a constant tension. Do I need to push it, or is God going to do it? Or
Yeah.
I think there was just also a constant friction, a wrestling. I believe it's important to work hard. I believe
Totally.
we are stewards of the time, energy, resources. I hope you're not a pastor listening to this. This is just for us in Malibu Pacific, but I find that a lot of pastors and staff are lazy. I just hate to say it. They went into ministry because they cared about people wanting to have coffee. It's great, do that, and I do all that, and I spend time with people, but ministry is work also. I mean, it's just picking stuff up and doing it's work.
Yep.
And so if people went into ministry, which a lot of pastors did, or they want to be counselors,
Yeah.
and they're having to lead and oversee and work, they went into it for the wrong reason. And but so I think that's all good and healthy. I just there's the friction, the tension, I guess I should say. Is this for me or my ego, or is this God, I'm working out of a good, healthy place, and you're tired at the end of the day in a good way.
That's awesome.
Not, oh, I'm so tired, but I worked today. I was, it's like I dug a ditch, and we plowed the field, and I worked.
Totally.
And I'm tired in a good way. I'm gonna get a good night's sleep. Versus I'm doing this so I can get my ego stroked and see, Lord, look what I did. And pastors and men get into this is we're looking for a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working hard to get somebody to say, good job.
Good job.
Yeah, well done, good and faithful servant.
Pat on the head.
A pat on the head. Every man is looking for a blessing. Every woman wants to hear the words, you are beautiful. Mm-hmm. So men, you say, you're beautiful. Oh, whatever. But you say,
I know.
But a man wants to hear from an older man, well done. Good job. You have what it takes. So there's that tension.
Yeah.
And it'll never get resolved. It's a tension to be managed. So I want to work hard here, and I will continue to work hard, but I also want to enjoy it. And I think I've broken away from, I'm doing this to when I was 30, yeah, that was definitely there. At my age now, I feel free from that of needing a blessing from somebody else. I don't.
Mhm.
I had some counseling that broke that in me.
Cool.
But yeah, I want more of contentment, enjoyment, and God watching you, what you're doing here, and seeing what God is doing.
Totally. And I hear you with the enjoyment part. I still have, friends in ministry that are like, "Oh, it must be really rough doing church out in Malibu," or
Yeah,
and so it makes me feel guilty like, "Oh, I shouldn't be enjoying like I need to be, there's a lot of ministry to be done and there's a lot of amazing things to be had and it is a lot of it's work. And it's
it's
hard
work.
it's hard work and granted, yes, there's other hard work out there. There's easier work, yada yada yada, but like I tell people, I'm like, so as we're in this series, if we're talking about it really openly, how do we, including myself in this, how do we tell ourselves and other people who think they have everything that they possibly don't, unless they have
How do we tell
Jesus?
them?
Yeah, how do we tell them?
Well, again, that goes back to the listening. I
Yeah,
think they'll give you the answer.
yeah,
Something is still missing.
totally.
Or I find that people ask, "You have something I don't have. You have
Mm,
a peace, a joy.
yeah,
Um, you're living for something beyond yourself. You have a purpose. I don't." So I just think they'll literally in some way say it,
yeah,
and when you ask a lot of questions, it will come out.
mm, yeah,
And then the answer that Jesus has is, well, I can give you living water, and we can say, we know this Jesus who can give you this living water
yeah,
that will quench your thirst. Um, and also, Jesus very quickly goes into the conversation. Well, go and tell your husband or bring him. And I don't have a husband, she says. And
mhm,
Jesus says, rightly so. Jesus hits the nerve.
yep,
Typically, you need to take a long time before we hit somebody else's nerve. We get to know somebody well enough. They say, well, you know what your problem is.
mhm,
It seems like what your issue is, that the reason why you're unsatisfied, and then hit the nerve.
yeah,
I couldn't do it that quick. It probably takes a couple of years of getting to know somebody. Then you can start having some real authentic conversation. That's why small groups are so, so important.
agreed.
After time, we hear each other's stories and we can start holding each other accountable.
Yeah,
But Jesus did that very, very quickly. But I think God wants to take us to that place of healing that wound that
yeah,
she had. And he
yes,
wants to heal the wound that we all have.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first. Small groups are important. We keep saying that again and again
Very,
and
very,
again.
very important. We're having signups the next few weeks.
We are.
So get in a group.
Absolutely.
Get in a group.
Circles are better than rows. Circles are better than rows. And you're probably saying, why do you say that 1,000 times? Or maybe you're hearing it for the first time. Either or, it's just because it's true.
It's true.
It's not a marketing thing. It really is. Life change happens there. I mean, Sunday morning is awesome because we get to collectively come together and worship Jesus, on a Sunday morning and online or on site. But when you finally get to that small group, and it's just awesome, the
Yeah.
stuff that you really talk about in
Everybody
life.
has a story.
Absolutely. And
And
everybody's
it's
story
rich.
matters.
It matters.
It matters.
Yeah.
No matter how big or how small. One of my favorites, from like students who have had like nothing really catastrophic happen in their life. They're like, well, my story's boring. And I'm like, no, you have one of the best stories ever because
That's funny.
life's been good,
Everybody thinks that my story's boring.
Oh no, it's not as good as
never.
that person who
No.
has yada blah 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 blah. Yeah, exactly. It's like no, every story matters and it counts.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. That's why I love our vision. Creating a church for everybody and every story.
Amen.
So every story matters. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, listener, what are some things that you want more of? Let us know. Send us an email at joel@malibupacific.church, joel@malibupacific.church. Let us know some things that you want more of in this world, in your life, in your walk with Jesus. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or hand gestures, please send those in as well. Would love to hear them and ask those questions here on the podcast. A couple things that are coming up. We have our Thursday cohorts, or not cohorts, the leadership cohort, right?
That's right.
On Thursday morning, 6:30 a.m.
4 weeks only.
4
So,
weeks. 4 weeks. Super easy
It's not
peasy.
forever.
Be here at the church, 6:30 a.m., hour and a half, light breakfast. It's going to be awesome, led by Andy and Amy. And then coming up, father-daughter dance right around the corner. We have men's and women's nights that are coming up. We got a full
A lot of
calendar
good
that's
stuff.
coming up. But the thing is that we're doing all these things because we want you to find that community. We want you to find the true more in this world. So with that said, thank you so much for listening to the Now What Next Steps podcast. If you need somebody or want to share this with somebody who wants to hear something like this, or you think they need to hear something like this, please hit that subscribe button or that share button, and love for you to share that with them and share those sermons too. You never know how far those can really speak into somebody's life. With that said, invite a friend next Sunday and have an amazing week, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Take care.